Included in the original video is a mockery of Christ built on the Roman Catholic Church's claim that they turn the bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ. I will leave this video original and show that it is a false representation, and show that their effort on the part of many is to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Yes, cults and religious cults are evil, but there is something to be said for the sacrifice of those that have loved and given their life for others.
This is my body. This is my blood. Have your name come to my Hamas.
Whether we call it cult or culture or religion, I understand that virtually all people are violated to the point that they have either the choice of submitting to what they've been indoctrinated into or rebelling against it. I believe it is possible for a healthy child to be raised and experience reality, come to a mind of their own. I taught physics as an experimental science, not telling the students, but giving them an opportunity to discover. What a joy for someone healthy enough to be able to do that. Most are indoctrinated into memorization of what someone else thought or said. That being said, I would like to share with you my surprise to find out my Swedish background. There was human sacrifice. Bruno Bettelheim, the survivor of Nazi concentration camp, studied folk tales and came to the conclusion that they were the ones that were kept from generation to generation were because of their health-giving value to society, that these folk tales could be found all over the world in different languages and cultures. Step 1. Abraham was an archetype story that was told word of mouth for hundreds of years before it was written down. Abraham came from an area where they were doing child sacrifice. He set an example of sacrificing an animal instead of his son. Step 2. Moses is a story of a man born into a time when pharaohs and kings could murder and steal at will. He is the archetype person who brought a law that even Pharaoh and kings were subject to, that they could not murder at will. And he took the people into a land where they were doing human sacrifice, making their children pass through the fire to Moloch. And he gave instructions to destroy the destroyers. Step 3. Jesus was born in a time when many Jews were memorizing the Torah. This is where 600 years later Islam got the practice from. And Jesus understood that these people were not free to even be themselves, that they needed to forgive those who had violated them and grow by their own experience of loving and caring for others as self. 4. 1,000 years ago, my Swedish culture was doing human sacrifice, and my wife's Russian culture was doing human sacrifice. It was the message of Christ's love and willingness to die and forgive those who killed him, that brought the change, even if it was imposed by the king. 300 years ago, the Iroquois Indians were doing human sacrifice, and it was the message of Jesus brought by two French missionaries that they decided to stop that practice because Jesus had been the sacrifice. Speaking to the Greeks about an unknown God, Paul said, "In him we live and move and have our being." I believe that's true. I believe that creation is an act of formation, not making something out of nothing, but that the physical reality is eternal. It is God, and out of him we are formed and have our being and an opportunity to care and leave a better world. And like Jesus taught, we need to forgive those who have violated us. It doesn't give them permission. It doesn't mean they're not responsible. It means that we are not filled with the hate that destroys our ability to love. I'm thankful for this opportunity to share what I understand from my experience. I speak for myself alone and would like to clarify 3 terms before closing. 1, to me, the soul is our culture, personal culture. 2, heaven is what can be, the best of what can be, and while we have this short period of life, we can participate in that. 3, to be born again, to me, is to be freed from our birth culture or cult or religion, to stand before creation on our own 2 feet. Thank you. We can do this because Jesus reconciled us to our source of creation. The 2x2 church of Luke chapter 10 is what Jesus established as his church in the souls of individuals and in their home gatherings. No money. But we have thousands of pairs of ministers and thousands of home churches throughout the world. And it is our prayer that the Lord's will be done on earth as it is in heaven.